Welcome to What is a Brand, the podcast where I endeavor to bust the myth that branding is just a logo, some fonts, and a color palette. Because, spoiler alert, it's so much bigger than that. Because a brand isn't just what you see, it's what you feel. It's how you show up and the experience you create. Whether you're a business owner, a designer, or just brand curious, this podcast will help you think bigger, get clearer, and build a brand that works for you. Let's dive in and start answering that huge question. What is a brand? Hello and welcome back to What is a Brand? The bite-sized podcast where I endeavor to answer that question because boy, isn't it complicated, and unnecessarily so, because it's really not. It's not rocket science, but it does take someone with incredible compassion and understanding of humanity to be able to design a brand. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to tell you the story of two people that I have worked with. And I'm going to tell you about how, at the same time as my designing all of their visual stuff, the surface stuff, the logos, the fonts, the colors, all of that, I was also, unbeknownst to them, designing the human being on the inside. Because that's really important. That is a piece that I think a lot of brand designers miss. We all want to be able to show up and just have the client know all the answers to the questions. So all we have to do is listen, take their lead, and do some creative stuff, and then it's done. That's not how I work. You do not have to have the answers. My preference, actually, is that you don't have the answers, that you don't have it figured out, because we get to figure it out together. That is how I can actually get into your brand. That's how I design the human being and the visual at the same time. So I'm going to tell you two stories. I'm going to use fake names because the visual stuff, I will shout the names of the individuals to the rooftop because I'm super proud of them and I'm super proud of the work. But the emotional stuff, that I keep private. That's much more personal. And so this first story is about a woman that I will call Amanda. Amanda is an executive leadership coach, and she is so smart. She is intimidatingly intelligent and so qualified and so strong and so formidable and so scared. She didn't know that when she started. On the surface, she didn't know that when she started working with me, but it's come out. And I am so loving being able to watch her transform inside of herself as I am designing the brand on the outside. On the first call that we had in this whole project, I helped her to figure out that the visuals were not something that she needed to make up for something that she on the inside was missing. She wasn't missing anything. She didn't need to, when she first came into that call, it was like she wanted me to give her the piece that she had been missing as a human being on the inside. But there was nothing missing. She already had everything that she needed on the inside. So, yeah, I started on the visuals and she got scared, and that's okay. She was left twiddling her thumbs, and for someone who's used to being so in control, that's really scary. I get that. That's really scary. And so, little by little, piece by piece, I am helping her to feel brave in the decisions that she has made about hiring professionals. She hired me, and she hired two other people who I love and work with all the time around the same time, and all to work on brand-related things. And she really struggled with letting go of the control of that. And I could see it, I could hear it, I could feel it with her. And My God, isn't it beautiful to watch her blossom into someone that can relinquish control and can trust? Because that's the biggest thing. It wasn't that she never trusted us. It was that she didn't trust herself in having made the decision to hire us. That's big. That's big. These are not cheap things. And for you to walk in and almost immediately question, have I made a mistake? That's bad. That is enough to halt all progress, not just in the brand, but in the person. So, little by little, she's releasing control and blossoming into this new, incredibly empowered version of herself who can trust her own judgment and feel confident in the work that she's doing in the world without worrying, who's going to let me down? How have I set myself up for failure? You can't make decisions worried that you're going to fail. You have to make decisions confident that you'll succeed. So she's getting there. And that's the story of Amy. The second story I'm going to share with you, I'm going to call her Renee. This is a woman who, when we first talked, she was kind of a life coach, kind of a business coach, kind of a whatever coach. She did all the things. She had transitioned from one kind of business to a different kind of business, and she was the opposite of Amanda. Amanda came in super confident, knowing who she was, having all the answers. Cool. Renee she knew she didn't have the answers. She needed, in our first call, she just needed to let it all go. She vomited all of this emotional stuff on me because she knew that she could, and she knew that she needed to. So on the one hand, we've got Amanda, who is afraid of feelings and is confident in who she is and correct in who she is. And then we have Renee, who is so comfortable in her emotions. And because she's so comfortable in her emotions, is swimming around in, who am I? And what am I doing? Now, those are two very different places to be. But in the end, what happens is the same thing. Amanda needed to learn to trust her own judgment and recognize that she already had all of the things that she needed. She just needed to release the fear. Renee, on the other hand, she also knew that she needed to release the fear because she also already had the things inside of her. And my job as a brand designer isn't to change the person on the inside. It's to help them see themselves, both in the emotional pieces of it, in the emotional conversations and the way that they feel about themselves, and in the visual stuff, like the logos and the fonts and the colors and all the brand supporting artwork. Because if you still feel scared, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter how perfect the brand that I design is, it's not going to work. It's not going to fit you because it was designed for a version of you that is brave and fearless and ready. So that's why part of my job is to get you ready. Anyway, so Renee starts out totally lost. She's got a sense of where she's going, but beyond that, she didn't even have a logo. She didn't have anything. She had mission statements here and there. She had stuff on her website written in the third person and then some of it written in the first person, and all of it was just a hodgepodge DIY mess. Like maybe she had a few different VAs at different times come in and help her out with stuff, and it was not doing her any justice. So we talked and we got to a place where she knew what she was doing. And now the brand is done. The brand is out in the world. She is so confident and so successful. What she needed was the clarity and the structure, not the structure of her business, but the structure of her brand to tell her what to say, how to say it, when to say it, because she had so much inside of her that if she just fire hosed it all out at once, it was never going to mean anything. She needed focus, she needed clarity, and the visual stuff and the emotional conversations, that's how we got there. And now Renee is making in a week what she used to make in a quarter. Try that on for size. She did not have anything inside of her that was a giant gaping hole that was missing anything. She had all of the tools. She had all of the knowledge. She had everything that she needed, except the brand. So, what is a brand? It's the reason we're here. What is a brand? A brand isn't what's on the surface. The surface is a part of it. If you think about your body, your whole body, what people see is your skin, your hair, your clothes. But if all you had was your skin, your hair, your clothes, you'd be a pile of mush. That's a lot of business owners out there are just a pile of mush. And it pains me to see it because I know that deep on the inside, there's a human heartbeat. Inside of all that confused and terrified mush, there is a human heartbeat that is begging to be heard and felt. And my job is to root through all the mush, find the heartbeat, and to start to build the structures around that beautiful humanity. So, yeah, a logo and fonts and colors are part of it. The stuff that you wear on the outside, a body without skin would be super terrifying. But it's only part of it. The stuff that people see on the outside, it's only part of it. And it's really not that important of a part. You can cut your skin, you can change your clothes, you can do whatever. These things, we get over them, we heal, we change our style, all of that. But you need the blood pumping through your system. You need the skeletal structure to hold you up. You need all of the internal pieces to work in harmony in order for the external stuff to have the support it needs to do its job. Your brand is more than what is on the surface. I design brands from the inside out. Your brand is so much more than what is on the surface. It starts with the inside. It starts with the emotional stuff. Whether you think you have all the answers or not, we're still going to work on the emotional stuff. Whether you realize we're doing it or not, we're still going to work on the emotional stuff. And that's okay. You don't have to know what's going on. I know what's going on. And we're going to get there. By the time the brand is done, by the time the design is complete, you will be ready to step into it. A brand is so much more than logo, fonts, colors, bit of supporting artwork. A brand is a human being. So who are you inside of your brand? Business owner, who are you inside of your brand? Human being with a personal brand, who are you inside of your brand? And what do you know about yourself? Where are your strengths? Where are your fears? Because it starts there. We get to do this in a way that feels fun, because that's who I am. We get to do this in a way that feels safe and comforting, because that's who I am. And we're going to do it. I'm proud of you. I love you.